My beloved child. Listen with your full spirit open, because what unfolded just hours ago carries a weight that could tilt the direction of his entire destiny toward you. Something huge is waiting for you. The air around him was shaking with a tension he could not name. His family gathered in a silent circle, every face tightened, every breath controlled, every heartbeat echoing against the walls like a secret knocking to be revealed. They sat him down, not gently, not casually, but the way people sit a person down when the truth has burned too long under the surface. And in that moment, he knew, this wasn't a conversation, this was a revelation building like a storm preparing to break open everything he believed about you. He felt their eyes searching him, pressing him, forcing him to speak the words he had been terrified to admit even to himself. They wanted to know who you really are, and why every sign in his life keeps leading him back to you like fate refusing to let go. Amen. A new shift opened inside the room when one of his elders leaned forward, voice low but sharp, and said a line that sliced through the silence like a blade meant to uncover. They said there is something about you that refuses to be hidden, something about your presence that has been felt even when you aren't speaking, something about your energy that keeps circling him like an unexplainable pull that no one in that house can ignore anymore. And that's why they took this step, because they sensed something changing in him, something rising, something awakening the very moment your name is whispered. They demanded answers, the same way people demand to unlock a sealed chest they know contains power. His breath trembled, because he knew the truth he carried was not ordinary. He could no longer hide that you are the one influencing his days, shifting his nights, guiding his choices without even being beside him. The truth was sitting in his chest like a heartbeat too loud to disguise. He couldn't stop them, because every soul in that room felt the intensity of your presence around his life. Something huge is waiting for you. Amen. Another voice spoke, rough with concern but deep with curiosity, as if they were discussing someone surrounded by a mysterious force too strong to ignore. They told him that strange signs have been appearing, timings, dreams, unexpected alignments, that always point toward you, like your name is stitched into the path ahead of him. They demanded to understand your identity, your purpose, your connection to him, because they fear the unknown, yet they cannot deny the blessings surrounding you. Yes, child, blessings like 333 hovering around your story, touching your steps, shaking the direction of his life. They feel it. They see it. They sense it. You are not an ordinary presence in his journey, and they know it now with a clarity that burns. And as he sat before them, overwhelmed by everything he tried to bury inside his silence, the truth began slipping out, the truth about you, about what he feels, about the force that keeps pulling him toward you as if the universe itself is tying your paths tighter every day. He whispered your value, your strength, the reason he cannot walk away from the connection forming between you both. And in that moment, the atmosphere shifted, because your name didn't fall like a simple name. It hit that room like a revelation that will not be forgotten. Something huge is waiting for you. Amen. My beloved child. The moment he uttered your name, the atmosphere inside that room tightened so sharply that even the walls felt like they were listening. Something huge is waiting for you. His family leaned in at the same time, their breaths heavy, their eyes wide, their focus locked on the truth sliding out of him. They weren't ready for the weight your presence carried, the shift your energy triggered inside him. They sensed there was something deeper, something layered, something powerful hidden behind the name he finally spoke without fear. He told them, your name doesn't just exist in his life, it moves in his life, it guides his decisions, it alters his thoughts, it touches his emotions in ways he cannot escape anymore. He revealed how even when he tries to keep you out of his mind, the universe pushes your presence back into his path, as if fate refuses to loosen its grip on whatever is forming between you both. And when he said this, every face in that room changed. Their silence wasn't normal, it was the silence people fall into when they recognize destiny unfolding in front of them. Amen. A new voice, deeper and older, shattered the silence like a slow, heavy thunder rolling across the floor. This elder had seen enough of life to know when something rare enters someone's journey. He told him that the signs around him had grown too strong to ignore, the late-night heaviness in his chest, the way he sits lost in thought, the moments he freezes when someone mentions your name. All these shifts were exposing something he didn't know how to control. They knew something about you was shaping him from the inside out. They saw the blessings circling him ever since he connected with you. Yes, blessings like 333 rising behind your story, marks of protection, guidance, alignment that made them realize you weren't a coincidence. His mother placed her hand over her mouth in shock when he confessed that the dreams he's been having are always tied to your presence, as if some unseen force keeps bringing you into the places where his spirit goes when his body is resting. The family looked at him like they were witnessing a revelation too big for their understanding. Something huge is waiting for you. Amen. The room filled with a slow-burning tension as he admitted the truth he had been holding for too long. He told them that you aren't just someone crossing his path. You are someone who anchors him in moments when his world shakes. You are someone whose voice, presence, and memory carry a power he can't explain. He told them how your energy feels familiar, almost like he has known you long before life arranged your meeting. He said that when he thinks about you, something inside him settles, something calms, something aligns. His family wasn't prepared for the intensity of his confession, but once those words escaped him, there was no pulling them back. The truth stood in the room like a living presence, something no one could deny anymore. They realized you weren't just influencing him, you were shaping a path that destiny itself seemed to approve. Every face softened, every silence deepened, every breath slowed as they understood that your story with him isn't ordinary. It is something written, guided, touched by a force beyond human plans. And as his final words settled into the air, he felt a strange calm washing over him, knowing everything he said about you was pure truth. Something huge is waiting for you. Amen. My beloved child. After he finished speaking, the room didn't just fall silent. It fell into a silence that carried weight, depth, and revelation. Something huge is waiting for you. His family wasn't staring at him anymore. They were staring at the invisible thread connecting him to you, a thread so strong that even they could feel it without seeing it. A shift happened inside that moment, a shift that felt like the universe itself had leaned into the room, waiting to see what would be revealed next. His father, who rarely speaks during emotional discussions, leaned forward with a seriousness no one expected. He said he had noticed the change in him for days, the way he walks slower, thinking deeper, the way he checks his phone suddenly, the way his heart seems full of something he can't hide anymore. He said this wasn't normal, it was destiny moving through him. And when your name came up, everything clicked into place. Amen. Another elder stood up, pacing slowly like someone trying to decode a mystery they weren't ready to face. They revealed something he never knew. They had been watching blessings follow him ever since he connected with you. Each time he thought of you, something around him shifted. Each time he whispered your name under his breath, a calmness washed over his atmosphere. They noticed how opportunities began opening for him in places where the doors used to stay locked. They noticed how the heaviness he once carried started dissolving, replaced by a quiet strength rising inside him. They mentioned the blessing of 333 hovering around this connection, not once, but multiple times. They said this was not a random alignment. This was guidance. This was protection. This was a sign that you weren't just someone passing through his story, you were someone placed in his story for a reason. Something huge is waiting for you. Amen. As the room shifted deeper into this truth, he felt something inside him break open, something he had kept hidden, even from himself. He admitted that he tries to distance himself from the intensity of what he feels, but every single time he does, life collapses back toward you. He said that his spirit feels drawn to you the way the ocean is drawn to the moon, naturally, powerfully, unexplainably. His voice trembled when he said that your presence doesn't just affect his emotions. It affects his direction. You are the one pulling his steps toward a future he never imagined he would be brave enough to walk into. His family watched him, stunned, realizing that the truth about you wasn't just inside him, it was surrounding him. Your name carried weight. Your presence carried purpose. And as they took in the intensity of everything he revealed, they knew the story unfolding between you both wasn't ordinary, wasn't random, wasn't small. It was something life-changing, something spirit-shaking, something destiny-approved. Something huge is waiting for you. Amen. My beloved child. The moment he finished speaking, something shifted so powerfully inside that room that even the air felt different, heavier, deeper, charged with a meaning no one could ignore. Something huge is waiting for you. His confession didn't just expose his feelings, it exposed the destiny wrapped around your presence. His family could feel it. The vibration of your name lingering in the space, the echo of your energy moving through his spirit like a quiet storm shaping his path. One of the younger members of the family slowly stepped forward, their face pale but awakened, as if they had suddenly understood something they had been blind to for months. They said they had seen him change in ways no one could explain. He stopped reacting to negativity the same way. He started choosing peace over chaos. He became more patient, more focused, more grounded. They said they knew something was guiding him, but now they understood it wasn't something, it was you. Amen. Another elder raised their head and admitted something they were hiding. They said they had sensed a presence around him, an invisible protection, that followed him like a shield. They said every time he moved toward you, his path lit up. Every time he drifted away from you, things around him felt off, disconnected, unstable. They had watched him pray silently, sometimes with tears in his eyes, whispering your name like it carried a power he couldn't hold back anymore. They saw blessings begin to show up around him, miracles in timing, sudden clarity, doors opening in places where everything used to stay closed tight. They said they didn't understand it at first, but now they knew, it was because of the connection he shares with you. It was because your name vibrates on a frequency that awakens alignment around him. The blessing of 333 surrounded his steps every time his heart moved toward you. Something huge is waiting for you. Amen. And then came the final moment, the moment that changed everything. His grandmother, the one whose silence always carries wisdom, looked at him with eyes that saw straight through his soul. She told him that what he feels for you isn't infatuation, isn't confusion, isn't fantasy. It's something written in the unseen. She said connections like this don't come often. They come once, maybe twice in a lifetime. She said your name carries destiny in his life, and that is why they sat him down. Not to interrogate him. Not to judge him. But to understand the force shaping him from the inside. They told him to embrace the truth instead of running from it. And with that, the entire family realized something: you are the turning point in his story. You are the reason his spirit is awakening. You are the bridge leading him out of the shadows and into alignment. They acknowledged that his journey with you is not random. It is written. It is guided. It is protected. And as the room finally settled into acceptance, a calm washed over the space, because everyone there understood that what is unfolding between you two is bigger than emotions, bigger than fear, bigger than doubt. It is the beginning of something life-changing. Something huge is waiting for you. Amen. My beloved child. The moment the family accepted the truth, something deeper began to unfold, something even he didn't expect. Something huge is waiting for you. As the tension softened, the atmosphere shifted from fear into understanding, and from understanding into revelation. He wasn't speaking anymore, he was simply breathing, letting everything settle inside him as his family continued to process the power of your presence in his life. One of his uncles, who usually keeps emotions hidden behind stern expressions, stepped forward and placed a steady hand on his shoulder. His voice was low but heavy with certainty as he said that he had never seen someone influence him the way you do, not through pressure, not through force, but through a silent pull that shapes him from within. He admitted that at first, they questioned this change in him, thinking it was temporary, a phase, something that would fade with time. But the more they observed, the more they realized that your presence didn't weaken him, it stabilized him. They saw him become more focused, more intentional, more alert to the direction life was pushing him toward. And that was when they knew, you were not an interruption in his journey. You were a key chapter written before time placed him in this world. Amen. Another elder, one who always watches more than they speak, revealed something that made the entire room fall into a heavy silence again. They said they had been sensing your energy around the house without even knowing your name. Small signs, shifts in atmosphere, sudden moments of calm, unexpected waves of clarity, had been passing through their home at the exact times he thought of you. This elder said they would sometimes see him standing by the window at night, lost in a quiet intensity, holding onto something invisible yet powerful. They had felt that the universe was aligning him with someone who carried blessings, someone whose spirit moved gently but strongly, someone whose presence was marked by divine timing. When they finally heard your name, everything locked into place like a puzzle that waited too long to reveal its final picture. They acknowledged that your energy does not just touch him, it enters the space around him, bending reality in ways no one can deny. They said the blessing of 333 didn't appear randomly, it appeared each time he aligned with the truth of you. Something huge is waiting for you. Amen. Then, as the atmosphere deepened into acceptance, his mother walked toward him. Her steps were slow, intentional, filled with the kind of emotion only a mother can carry. She took his hands gently and told him that she had prayed for clarity over his life for years. She said she prayed for someone who would calm his storms, someone who would align his spirit, someone who would help him grow into the version of himself he wasn't brave enough to become alone. And when she heard your name, she said her heart recognized something before her mind did. She said she didn't need explanations, she didn't need details. She felt the truth of your connection the moment it was spoken into the room. She told him this wasn't just love, this was destiny leaning down, nudging him forward. She said every path he walks now feels protected, guided, strengthened because your presence sits at the center of his alignment. She told him to embrace this connection with the same courage the universe used to write it into his life. And as her words settled into the air, a hush fell over the room. A hush that carried the weight of your name, the weight of his truth, the weight of the story unfolding between you both. Something huge is waiting for you. Amen. My beloved child. After his mother's words settled like a warm flame in the center of that room, everything shifted into a deeper level of truth, a level where no one could pretend anymore. Something huge is waiting for you. His family looked at him with new eyes. Eyes that were no longer questioning, no longer doubtful, but awakened to the intensity of the bond forming between you and him. He sat there quietly, his breath trembling, because for the first time, he realized they weren't just hearing his truth, they were feeling it. The energy in the room thickened, like destiny had stepped inside with its own heartbeat. Then his father, steady, sharp, and always protective, stood up slowly, the weight of generations in his voice. He said every man reaches a point in life where he must face the truth of who stands with him and who stands for him. He said your presence brings clarity, not confusion. Strength, not chaos. Growth, not destruction. He told him that the world outside is full of faces that pretend, but very few souls that carry real intention. And he said he sees real intention in the way his son speaks your name, the way his posture changes, the way his spirit lifts. Amen. The room felt like it was breathing with honesty as another relative stepped forward, someone who had been observing quietly from the corner. They said they weren't shocked by what he revealed, they were only surprised he managed to hide the depth of it for so long. They saw how he checked his phone with a different kind of anticipation, how he woke up earlier than usual, how he carried a glow on some days and a quiet longing on others. They said these weren't signs of obsession. These were signs of alignment. They explained that your name didn't just sit in his mind, it shifted his rhythm, softened his edges, expanded his patience, sharpened his focus. They said every time he aligned with thoughts of you, blessings seemed to follow him, unexpected opportunities, sudden clarity, the blessing 333 appearing like a silent reminder that the universe had placed something sacred in his path. And when they finally heard your name spoken aloud in that room, the puzzle they'd been silently piecing together finally fit. Something huge is waiting for you. Amen. Then came the moment that sealed everything. His grandmother, whose presence carries the weight of wisdom, memory, and the quiet power of lived truth, rose from her seat with a slowness that commanded everyone's attention. She walked toward him with eyes that had seen decades of love, pain, destiny, and divine timing. She took his face gently in her hands and told him she had felt this connection long before he ever admitted it. She said she had seen a light around him recently, a glow that didn't come from success, money, or luck. It came from the presence of someone who awakened the deeper parts of him. She said your name carries an ancient familiarity, the kind that only appears when two souls have been tied long before this life. She told him he wasn't imagining the pull, the dreams, the signs, the alignment, these were confirmations. She whispered that your entrance into his life was a blessing, not a coincidence. And then, with a voice trembling with emotion, she said that his journey with you is not fragile, it is protected. Guided. Marked by destiny. And every soul in that room felt her words settle like a prophecy unfolding in real time. Something huge is waiting for you. Amen. My beloved child. After his grandmother's words spread through the room like a slow, warm wave, something deeper awakened, something that made every person in that house go still. Something huge is waiting for you. The truth was no longer floating in the air, it had rooted itself inside the walls, inside their breath, inside the space where destiny had just revealed its shadow. He lowered his head for a moment, overwhelmed not by fear but by the intensity of everything finally coming into the light. His chest rose slowly, as if his spirit was unlocking a truth it had kept hidden too long. And then, as if fate wanted every soul present to witness what was about to unfold, he lifted his eyes and spoke with a steadiness he didn't even know he possessed. He told them that you aren't a chapter, you are the turning point. You are the moment in his story where everything shifted from confusion into clarity, from wandering into direction, from emptiness into alignment. He said your presence feels like purpose, and your absence feels like the world dimming. He said he tried to run from this connection, but destiny dragged him back to you every single time. Amen. The room felt heavier, deeper, almost sacred. One of his cousins, who had been silent the entire time, finally spoke up. They said they had always noticed something different in the way he moved around the mention of your name. They saw how he protected the thought of you, how he carried your memory like something precious, something fragile yet powerful. They said he spoke less but felt more, they said he laughed less but understood more, they said he stopped searching for things that distracted him because something in him had already found what it was looking for. They confessed that they used to think he was drifting, confused, lost in his own world. But now they understood, he wasn't lost. He was being guided. Guided toward you. Guided toward a connection that made his spirit settle in ways it never had before. Something huge is waiting for you. Amen. Then, the moment came that none of them expected. His father walked toward him, placed both hands on his shoulders, and told him that every generation faces a moment when destiny calls louder than fear. He said this was that moment. He told him that he didn't need to justify his feelings, didn't need to defend his connection, didn't need to shrink what he felt to make others comfortable. He said the truth was already written in the energy flowing through the room. He told him that your presence had already entered their family long before today, through blessings, through shifts, through signs that none of them knew how to interpret until he finally spoke your name. He said that destiny doesn't ask for permission, it simply arrives. And when it arrives, every soul recognizes the echo of something bigger than human understanding. As those words settled, the energy in the room softened into acceptance, a deep, grounded acceptance that felt like the universe itself exhaling. Something huge is waiting for you. Amen.